जफर इस्लाम जी, मेरे समिति के सभी माननीय सदस्य डॉक्टर सतपाल सिंह जी, एमपी, फॉर्मर पुलिस कमिश्नर मुंबई पुलिस, और रेखा जी अपनी राष्ट्रीय उपाध्यक्षा हैं, लोकसभा के एमपी हैं, ब्रिजलाल जी जैसा बताया गया पूर्व डीजीपी हैं, राज्यसभा के एमपी हैं, और डॉक्टर राजदीप रॉय बहुत ही एमिनेंट ऑर्थोपेडिक सर्जन हैं और वो सिलचर से एमपी हैं। मैं रविशंकर। मित्रों, हम राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष जी ने ग्राम पंचायत चुनाव में बंगाल में हुई हिंसा को लेकर एक फैक्ट फाइंडिंग कमेटी एमपीज की बनाई थी, जिसका उन्होंने मुझे संयोजक बनाया था। हम लोग 12, 13, 14 3 दिन बंगाल का दौरा हमने किया। किलोमीटर की डिस्टेंस में हम लोग गए, देखा। आज हम लोगों ने राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष जी को अपनी रिपोर्ट सौंपी है, तो इसके पहले कि हम इसका कंटेंट्स के बारे में आपको बताएं, हम चाहते हैं कि हम लोग अपना पूरा काम आइए थैंक यू। मित्रों, यह देश लोकतंत्र है और हम सभी लोकतांत्रिक प्रक्रिया सांसद बने हैं, लेकिन हमें ममता सरकार की अगुवाई में एक बहुत ही विकृत और शर्मनाक लोकतंत्र देखने का दुर्भाग्य मिला। We noticed a sickening symbol of shameful democracy in Bengal elections. आप सभी जानते हैं कि ग्राम पंचायत का चुनाव वो संविधान की एक मर्यादा है। संविधान के अंतर्गत फर्स्ट टायर ऑफ इलेक्शंस है वो, और उसका एक चुनाव आयोग होगा, ये भी संविधान में प्रावधान है। तो आज क्या ग्राम पंचायत, क्या नगर निगम, क्या जिला परिषद, क्या विधानसभा, क्या लोकसभा, इन सभी संस्थाओं के बारे में संविधान में ही प्रावधान है, और उसके बावजूद इस तरह की हिंसा हुई, ये बहुत दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है। हमने अपने यात्रा में, एक तो मुझे मालूम था कि वहाँ यात्रा रोकी जाती है, सतपाल जी भी गए थे, बिजलाल जी भी गए थे तो रोक दिया गया, बहन रेखा जी भी गई थी तो इनको भी जाने नहीं दिया गया पूर्व में। तो इस बार मैंने दिल्ली से ही कमेंट करना शुरू किया, मैं उम्मीद करता हूं ममता जी हमें जाने देंगी अगर वो लोकतंत्र में बिलीव करती हैं। फिर हम हवाई अड्डे से उतरे तो हमें बाहर जाने दिया गया। फिर हमारी प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस थी, हमने कहा ममता जी धन्यवाद, आपने हमें हवाई अड्डे से बाहर निकलने दिया, हम उम्मीद करते हैं कि हमें हिंसाग्रस्त क्षेत्रों में विजिट करने का आप अवसर देंगी। ये चलता रहा। मित्रों, हमारी जो ऑब्जर्वेशंस है, जो इस रिपोर्ट का भी पार्ट है, उसके 5 मूल बिंदु हैं। नंबर 1, नॉमिनेशन करने नहीं देंगे। You will not be allowed to file nomination. Number 2, नॉमिनेशन कर लिया तो तुम्हें प्रचार नहीं करने देंगे, तुम्हारे बाल बच्चों को भी किडनैप कर लेंगे, सच्चाई हुई। तीसरा, अगर नॉमिनेशन कर भी दिया तो किसी तरह गड़बड़ी में आपका नॉमिनेशन रिजेक्ट करेंगे। और चौथा, अगर आपने बहुत प्रचार किया तो आपके समर्थकों के घर पर बम बरसाएंगे, पीटेंगे, घर में हिंसा करेंगे, इत्यादि इत्यादि। और अगर आप जीत गए तो आपको सर्टिफिकेट नहीं देंगे। सर्टिफिकेट तभी देंगे जब आप दस्तखत करो कि आप टीएमसी ज्वाइन करोगे। तो जस्ट टू रिकैपिचुलेट, you will not be allowed to file nomination. If you succeeded, you will not be allowed to campaign under threat of kidnapping of your children. If yet you insist, then your supporters will be attacked, killed with impunity. And next, even if you manage to win, you will not be given the victory certificate till you give an undertaking of joining the TMC. ये एक मोटी बात आप जान लें, ये शर्त था। दूसरी बात, आप हमारी रिपोर्ट देखेंगे तो हमने हाईकोर्ट के 5 आदेश को कोट किया है। ये काफी इलैबोरेट रिपोर्ट है, शुरू में सिनॉप्सिस भी है कि हाईकोर्ट ने कैसे 5 बार निर्देश दिया है कि चुनाव फेयर होने चाहिए, सेंट्रल फोर्सेस की पोस्टिंग होनी चाहिए। सेंट्रल फोर्सेस की पोस्टिंग में गड़बड़ी की गई, सेंसिटिव बूथ की सूची नहीं दी गई, आपको मालूम है, तो उनको मिसप्लेस कराया गया ताकि वो फील्ड में जा नहीं सके। मैं हाईकोर्ट के 1-2 आदेश खाली आपके सामने पढ़ने की आपसे अनुमति चाहता हूं, और जिससे आपको समझ में आएगा कि हाईकोर्ट ने, देखिए मैं एक पढ़ रहा हूं। The State Election Commission to review the assessment plan submitted by state, and wherever there is inadequacy of the state police force in all such areas also, the State Election Commission shall requisition deployment of paramilitary forces. The requisition shall be done forthwith by the State Election Commission. बाकी और आदेश हुआ। अब फिर देखिए, वो चुनाव आयोग सुप्रीम कोर्ट चला गया, समझे आप इस आदेश के खिलाफ। चुनाव आयोग सुप्रीम कोर्ट गया। सुप्रीम कोर्ट, द ऑर्डर ऑफ द हाई कोर्ट वुड नॉट कॉल फॉर एनी इंटरफेरेंस इन दीज सर्कमस्टेंसेस, तो उसको डिसमिस किया गया। और ये देखिए, देयरफॉर वी आर, ये हाई कोर्ट का एक और आदेश है। Therefore, we are of the view that such deployment of forces from other states to be in place on the date of polling and will not yield the desired result. Therefore, dehodes the number of police forces which may have been requisitioned for other state. The State Election Commission shall independently assess the requirement as observed earlier and should be honest and bearing in mind so and so forth, constitutional obligation. उसके पश्चात फिर कोर्ट का कंटेम्प्ट भी हुआ। कंटेम्प्ट में भी उनकी जवाब, और देखिए कोर्ट ने एक और आदेश क्या किया, मैं आपको सुना रहा हूं, सुनिए। द स्टेट इलेक्शन कमीशन इज ड्यूटी बाउंड टू प्रिजर्व ऑल रिकॉर्ड्स कंसर्निंग द इलेक्शन इंक्लूडिंग द सीसीटीवी फुटेज एंड शैल बी सोली रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर द सेफ्टी एंड सिक्योरिटी ऑफ ऑल रिकॉर्ड्स। ये भी कोर्ट ने कहा। तो कोर्ट के इतने आदेश को हमने इसमें कोर्ट किया है। इन सबों के बावजूद इतनी हिंसा हुई, तो ये हमारे लिए बहुत ही पीड़ादायक था। कई लोग मारे गए, हम लोग उनसे मिले, हम लोग जैसा बताया नॉर्थ बंगाल भी गए थे, साउथ बंगाल भी गए थे, डिटेल्स इसमें लिखा हुआ है। लेकिन कई लोग जो मारे गए, उनकी विधवाएं जब हम लोग उससे मिलकर रोती थीं, तो हम सबों के लिए बड़ा ही हृदय विदारक दृश्य था। इट वॉज ए पैथेटिक सीन फॉर अस। मैं कुछ नाम आपके सामने रखना चाहता हूं, और ये सारी फोटो, ये सब इसमें सब फोटो सब बाकायदे लगी हुई है। 10-15 फोटोग्राफ आपको हम बताना चाहते हैं, जो हम लोग गए थे, सब अस्पताल गए थे, बाकी जगह गए थे। अब मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूं कुछ चीजें जो आपके लिए जानना जरूरी है, और आज मैं आपके माध्यम से अपेक्षा करूंगा कि ये बात देश में जानी चाहिए। बीजेपी कैंडिडेट मधुमिता मंडल वॉज असॉल्टेड बाय टीएमसी वर्कर। हम उसके गांव गए थे 2 किलोमीटर चल करके। उसकी डॉटर इन लॉ श्वेता प्रेग्नेंट थी। उसके ऊपर इतना हमला किया कि वो मेरे और रेखा जी के एकदम आकर के इतनी रोई, उसका घर तोड़ दिया। वो भागी हुई थी हमारी उम्मीदवार। दुर्गा मंदिर बूथ नंबर 125, एक 13 साल के लोकल बच्चे को फरसा से ऐसा मारा कि पूरा कट गया था उसका। उन्होंने सब देखा, बाकी दुर्गा मंदिर का उन्होंने वो भी कैमरा तोड़ दिया पूरा। सबसे तो आपको जानकर आश्चर्य लगेगा और दुख भी लगेगा कि बूथ नंबर 179 में शांतनु पात्रा, ये सब आदिवासी हैं, अति पिछड़े हैं। वो बंगाल तमिलनाडु में राजमिस्त्री का काम करता है। वो घर आया था वोट देने और राजमिस्त्री कुछ पैसे बचाया था और एक अच्छा मकान बनवाया। उसका एक ही पाप था कि उसने वहां से निकले हम लोग तो कम से कम 200-300 महिलाओं ने हम सबको घेर लिया और बंगाली में बोल रही थी। हम लोग समझे कि हमारी जान बचाइए। टीएम साल वर्कर कहते हैं चुनाव हो गया, अब खेला हो गया। और तो ये जो खौफ का माहौल, ओवरपावरिंग फियर, हैज बिकम द हॉलमार्क ऑफ दिस इलेक्शन। और क्या पुलिस, क्या इंचार्ज थाना, क्या बीडीओ, इन सबों ने मिलकर कोऑपरेटिव इलेक्शन कमीशन इसने फैसिलिटेट किया सारी को। तो ये बहुत पीड़ादायक लगा, हम लोगों ने देखा जागा करके। आपको बताऊं, हम लोग, आप लोग मीडिया के लोग हैं, हम लोग बासंती गए थे, वहां सब जुटे थे हम लोग अपनी व्यथा कहने के लिए। तो उन्होंने कहा बंगाली में, ऑल द मीडिया गो आउट। हमने क्या हुआ समझाने की कोशिश की, तो कहा जब हम पिट रहे थे लोग कोई आया नहीं, अब आपके साथ आया है। तो मीडिया के लोगों ने भी हमसे कहा जेंटली कि सर हम लोग भी कहां जाने की हिम्मत कर पाते थे, तो रास्ते में रोक लेते थे। ये हाल था। अब आपको बताते हैं, कनिका बर्मन इतना रोई हम लोग के कंधे पर। उसके पति जयंतो बर्मन 38 फालीमारी जीपी, सुबह 6 बजे उसको मार दिया क्योंकि वो काउंटिंग एजेंट था। ये उसका इतना बड़ा बेटा मुश्किल से 5 साल का उसकी पत्नी से मिले, उसके बूढ़े पिता से मिले। ये मैं बातें आपको इसलिए कह रहा हूं कि, और एक कृष्णा बर्मन, उनको इतना मारा कि उनके दाहिने आंख की रोशनी चली गई है। और जब हम लोग मिशन अस्पताल में मिलने गए तो उन्होंने कहा कि हमारे घर पर अभी भी हमला हो रहा है क्योंकि आप लोग हमसे मिलने आ रहे हैं। और एक हमारा, ये दिखाऊंगा आपको, ये देखिए, उसको इतना मारा गोली से कि उसके पूरे पेशाब की सिस्टम गड़बड़ा गया। और उसकी पत्नी ने बाहर निकलते हम लोग को बिल्कुल लिपट के रोने लगी। सब फोटो इसमें है। ये क्या हो रहा है ममता जी, ये क्यों हो रहा है? व्हाट इज दिस? इट इज कंडेमनेबल। ये देखिए, ये वो जो हमारी श्वेता दास थी, उसके ससुर को देखिए, रो रहा है हम लोग के सामने। और देखिए कैसे घर तोड़ते हैं, ये देखिए सब फोटो है, पूरा घर तोड़ दिया। इसको देखिए। और ये जो माधव दास के पिताजी थे, हम लोग उसके पास गए थे। तो बहुत पीड़ादायक है ये, हम लोग को इतना दुख लगा। ये देखिए, ये सब बेवाएं हम लोग के रो रही हैं गर्दन, हम लोग का कमर पकड़ कर करके, हाथ पकड़ करके। ये वो है जिसके पूरे पेशाब का रास्ता गड़बड़ा गया, वो रोने लगी। मतलब हम लोग के लिए भी बड़ा ये दुखदाई अनुभव था। हम लोग सभी एक्टिविस्ट हैं, मैं तो पुराना एक्टिविस्ट रहा हूं, लेकिन इस तरह से हिंसा होती है क्या? इस तरह से दलित, अति पिछड़े, आदिवासी पर हमला होता है क्या? कोई सुनवाई नहीं। केस अगर किया, कॉम्प्रोमाइज करो, स्ट्रेट अवे कॉम्प्रोमाइज करो। तो ऐसा लगा कि पूरी मशीनरी बिल्कुल एक प्रकार से जुटी हुई है कि ममता जी को ये न के न प्रकारेण जिताना है और विरोध करने वालों को मारना पीटना है। तो ये मैंने आपको थोड़ा विस्तार से बताया, ये रिपोर्ट का पार्ट है। फिर भी मुझे इस बात का बहुत गर्व है कि हमारे भाजपा के कार्यकर्ताओं और समर्थकों ने बहुत हिम्मत दिखाई। 11,000 ग्राम पंचायत के मेंबर्स भाजपा के चुने गए, इसमें भी, और पूरा लेफ्ट और सीपीआई, सीपीएम, कांग्रेस हमसे वो 4,000 पर हैं सब मिलाकर के। और अगर ये ईमानदारी से चुनाव हुआ होता तो बीजेपी वुड हैव स्वेप्ट द ग्राम पंचायत इलेक्शन। मुझे कहने में जरा भी आपत्ति नहीं है, जीतती जबरदस्त रूप से। आजकल बहुत चिल्ला रहे हैं इन पर, मणिपुर पर। दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है, सरकार कार्रवाई कर रही, आगे करेगी। एक आदिवासी हमारी उम्मीदवार के साथ बलात्कार हुआ कि नहीं हुआ, याद है ना आपको? उसके कपड़े फाड़े गए और डीजीपी ने कहा घटना झूठी है, और बाद में घटना सही हुई। जब हंगामा हुआ तो उनको स्वीकारना पड़ा कि किटो को गिरफ्तार किया गया। एक और जगह समस्या हुई। आज सुबह खबर आई है कि 13 साल के लड़के के साथ रेप हुआ है। तो ममता जी, आप तो महिला नेत्री है ना, आपने अपने बंगाल को मैं शब्दों का प्रयोग नहीं कर पा रहा हूं, महिला की इज्जत के साथ खिलवाड़ का प्रदेश बना दिया है क्या? इससे अधिक मैं कड़े शब्द नहीं बोल सकता, क्योंकि मेरे वो संस्कार नहीं है। तो मित्रों, हमने कहा कि आपके सामने विस्तार से रख दें। कमेटी का पूरा ईमानदारी से मानना है कि इतनी बड़ी हिंसा हुई। हां, आप लोगों ने कई स्टिंग ऑपरेशन किया और बम का दिखाया, कहते बम का व्यापार चल रहा था वहां पर। पैसा फेंको, माल ले, बिल्कुल फ्रीली अवेलेबल। तो हम लोगों ने एक अनुशंसा की है कि जितने भी आपराधिक मामले चुनाव संबंधित हैं, ये सबकी जांच सीबीआई से करवाई जाए। The fact-finding team in its recommendations has demanded that because of the complicit, biased nature of the Bengal police and administration, it is only appropriate that all these cases should be investigated by the CBI. और दूसरा, चूंकि बम का भी बहुत केस है, तो ये शेड्यूल्ड ऑफेंस है, और जितने भी बमबाजी के केस हैं उनकी जांच एनआईए से कराई जाए। All cases of bomb explosion should be investigated by the NIA because that is a scheduled offense. एक अंतिम बात कहनी है, फिर आपके हम प्रश्न लेंगे। हम लोग बंगाल में घूम रहे थे तो हमें बंगाल की पुरानी स्मृतियां आ रही थी। ये अरविंदो घोष का बंगाल है, ये सुभाष चंद्र बोस का बंगाल है, ये रविन्द्रनाथ टैगोर का बंगाल है, ये ईश्वरचंद्र विद्यासागर का बंगाल है। हमने कई बार कहा इस बात को। एक से एक कलाकार, एक से एक साहित्यकार। ममता जी, आपने इस बंगाल की आत्मा को कहां मार दिया है? ममता जी, वी आर कॉन्स्ट्रेन्ड टू ऑब्जर्व दैट यू हैव नॉट ओनली ruined but suppressed the creative soul of Bengal. ये हो गया है। बस मित्रों, मुझे अपनी ओर से इतना ही कहना था। एनीथिंग यू हैव टू ऐड सतपाल? एनीथिंग ऐड? और मैं आपसे एक आग्रह करूंगा विनम्रता से, कृपया करके इस रिपोर्ट को बढ़िया से छापिए, टीवी में दिखाइए। देश को जानना जरूरी है कि लोकतंत्र बंगाल में समाप्त हो गया है। बिल्कुल।
He thought he could outlast us. And 1 year later, the evidence is right here in this room.
Who will blink first?
So far from preventing the expansion of NATO, Russian actions have actually resulted in the expansion of NATO.
It's a mess for Russia and it's a mess for the Western world, for NATO and the United States.
Putin is a dictator, and if he loses, that means the end of his regime, and probably of him personally. So he has to keep going.
Year 2. No end in sight. Streaming now.
Gautam Adani, one of the richest men in the world, or a business honcho, accused of manipulating the market.
अदानी जी 609 नंबर से दूसरे नंबर तक कैसे पहुंचे? सिर्फ एक सवाल पूछा, नरेंद्र मोदी जी, आपका अदानी जी से रिश्ता क्या है?
He has given the space, the railways, the airport, which he has no experience also. So the country's interest has been compromised.
Government has been very clearly supporting few industrial groups, including Adani's industrial group.
Target Adani, streaming now.
With all this gear, you must be wondering if I'm climbing a mountain. Well, let me give you a wider look of this place. This is Asia's largest mountain of shame.
A mountain of waste, almost the height of the Qutub Minar.
When you enter capital cities of some of the biggest countries in the world, you don't have 3 garbage mountains waiting to welcome you, depending on whichever side of the city you enter from.
The thing is that a lot of times we talk about landfills only when there's a fire at the landfill. You need to understand that a landfill is at fire almost throughout the year. It's only when the firefighters are not able to douse the fire is when it actually catches the nation's attention, the city's attention, or media attention.
The towering landfills worsen one of Delhi's biggest problems: pollution.
यहाँ पर आप रात को आओ, दिन में आओ, आप 1 घंटे बैठ नहीं सकते बाहर। इतनी धूल, प्रदूषण, महक, आप खाना भी नहीं खा सकते बाहर बैठ के।
Life around the landfill is a curse.
हमारे घर में जो बड़े हैं, उन्हें अस्थमा के वो पेशेंट है, आए दिन उनको नेबुलाइजर लगाना पड़ता है।
डॉक्टर ने मुझे ये चीज बोला कि यहाँ का एरिया छोड़ के कहीं और चाहिए।
Delhi's garbage mountains are now a fetid symbol of the national capital's trash problem. The question is, who is to be blamed? Watch Delhi's Garbage Mountains. Streaming on News9 Plus for the Genflix.
Containment. Not the United States, not China, not anybody else.
Frenemies. Streaming now.
मैं इमरान अहमद खान नियाजी सबके दिल से हल्फ उठाता हूँ।
When Imran Khan came initially into politics, he thought his personal popularity would be sufficient for him. It didn't happen.
The retired military generals are openly saying that Imran Khan is a better choice.
Imran Khan may have bitten a bit too much, more than what he can chew.
Implosion. This and more. Streaming on world's first news OTT. News9 Plus. Download now. BrahMos. Stealthy. Lethal. Precise. It flies at 3 times the speed of sound and cuts through a warship like a hot knife through butter. China's navy has threatened its neighbors, and they are turning to the BrahMos for protection. The warship killer. This and more streaming on world's first news OTT, News9 Plus. Download now. China won't let...
Nobody can contain it. Not the United States, not China, not anybody else.
Frenemies. Streaming now.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Plus. I'm Shweta Kothari. With me in the studio is my colleague Suyash. The top story that we're discussing at the top of this hour is Indian markets that snapped its 3-day losing streak to end with moderate gains in today's session. Suyash, how did the markets perform? What were the driving stocks and sectors?
Shweta, as you mentioned, Indian markets extinguished its 3-day losing streak amid buying interest in capital good and FMCG stocks, and the stock-specific action continued amidst, as we are in the earnings season right now. So at close, Sensex was up 351 points to close at 66,707 levels. It touched an intraday high of 66,897 levels and an intraday low of 66,431 levels. Now, Sensex Nifty, on the other hand, ended 97 points higher at 19,778 levels. It touched an intraday high of 19,825 and an intraday low of 19,716. The broader markets too, Shweta, were outperformers today, and they managed to end in the green.
Okay, and what sectors were in focus? What stocks were in focus? So,
Shweta, among sectors, FMCG and capital goods managed to gain over 1%. Among individual stocks, Larsen & Toubro was a top gainer at 3.56% return. Cipla followed at about 2.3%. ITC was up 1.8%. On the other side, Bajaj Finance was the top loser in today's session. It was down about 1.74%, followed by Bajaj Finserv, which was down 1.37%, Mahindra & Mahindra, which was down 1.27%.
Okay, Cipla is up. We're not. Are the results out? We're tracking the quarterly earnings, of course, for all the major companies, and we're looking at the results that have been released. We are going to have Ambrish joining us very, very shortly. But before that happens, I suppose PNB came out with their quarterly earnings. The stock ended 5% up.
So, stock was trading 5% higher in intraday trade, but it closed 4% higher by the time it closed. So, PNB, despite a fourfold jump in profits, managed to meet analyst estimates. Now, net profit on a year-on-year basis was up 307% from 1,225 crore to 308 crore. Net interest income for the company surged from 7,542 crore to 9,504 crore, which is a 26% jump. Asset quality also improved for the banks, with the gross non-performing asset ratio was down 347 basis points from 11.2% in Q1 FY23 to 7.73%. Meanwhile, NPAs was down 230 basis points from 4.28% in Q1 FY23 to 1.98%.
All right, and another stock that we are tracking is that of Bajaj Finance. I'm looking at the stock at the moment. It closed 1.74% lower. This, of course, comes on the back of the quarterly results that were out. It is surprising, but because the results were better than expected.
24, which is about a 32% growth on a year-on-year basis. Now, net interest income 6,640 crore to 8,390 crore. Bajaj Finance asset under management grew by a whopping 32% to 2,70,097 crore from 2,04,018 crore. Now, the company recorded its highest ever quarterly increase in AUM of 22,718 crore. So, all in all, a good set of numbers coming in from Bajaj Finance.
All right, Ambrish Baliga, who's an independent markets expert, joining us this afternoon. Good afternoon, sir. Thanks for taking time out. I want to particularly begin by asking about Bajaj Finance. Numbers are better than expected. What then explains the stock, tanking by as much as 1.6%?
Numbers surely were better. I mean, whether you talk of the net profit, that was better than estimates. The new loans booked, I think it's the highest ever. AUM is up about 32%, but I think what spooked the street possibly is the net interest margins, which is NIMS. That's declined to 9.95% versus 10.34% Y-on-Y, and it was 10.11 Q-on-Q. So I think this is what must have spooked the markets to a certain extent, because of which we saw post the results, we saw a decent correction.
All right. Among other earnings that we're tracking is that of Cipla. The numbers are out. Are they in line with estimates?
In fact, the numbers are better than estimates, and because of which just post the earnings we saw a spike, and possibly tomorrow we should see a much better move in Cipla.
Okay. I also want to quickly go back to PNB and earnings for banking stocks, and my colleague Suyash was here with us. We continue to track Nifty Bank. The performance has been better. June quarter ended with profitability. There's a steady decline in NPAs. All of that means that the banking sector at large is looking robust.
So Shweta, most banks have so far, at least the numbers that have coming out, they have reported a robust set of numbers. Profitability has increased in double digits, and even the asset quality has improved. Even in the recent rally in the last 1 month or so, banking stocks have done really well, and especially the PSU banking space. They have been the major driver of growth for the market in the last 1 month or so.
Okay, I want to touch a little bit more on banking stocks, Ambrish, before we move on to another, other companies that have come up with their quarterly earnings. And banking stocks particularly, it appears that the crisis that was brewing in the US, in the Europe, and the turmoil that it could spread to India hasn't really happened. The banking crisis hasn't touched Indian shores, and the sector continues to look strong.
Absolutely, because I mean our banking system is completely insulated from whatever is happening in the US, and in the last couple of quarters we have seen steady improvement in the balance sheet as well as the earnings as far as the PSU banks go. But then we've also seen these stocks moving up decently well in the last 12 to 15 months. A couple of them have become multi-baggers, in the sense at least 2x or 2.5x. Because of which, despite these good results, I don't see a major move from here as far as the PSU banking space is concerned. But if you're talking of PNB, whose numbers just came, I mean, that's been a stark underperformer among the large banks, large PSU banks. So because of these numbers, we could see a decent spike in PNB. And more importantly, the CEO also has mentioned that they are looking to double the profitability in FY24. So that's a very positive statement coming from him. So I think this is one stock which can move up among the PSU banking space.
Okay. Would it then be right to say that banking stocks, and specifically, public sector banks, have outperformed other sectors in Q1? Would that be a right assessment?
Yeah, absolutely. But then we should also look at the way they have moved up. I mean, because of which I'm saying that they may not really outperform from here on. Although I'm not giving a sell call, but I surely will not go out and buy across the PSU banking stocks.
Okay. So if one was to look at entering the market and make fresh positions, what stocks should they be vying for?
I mean, at this point of time, I feel the market is overpriced. I was looking at Nifty 18,800 as more or less fully priced. And from there, we have seen 1,000 point plus sort of a rally. So at these levels, I'm finding the markets a bit too expensive. I'm not really going out and buying anything much at this point of time. In fact, I would look to book profits. I'm surely not saying go short, but I would surely look at booking profits.
Okay. I think Suyash has a question for you.
So Tech Mahindra's results have just come out, and we have seen a profit decline of 38%.
Absolutely.
So most tech companies have given subdued set of results, but Nifty IT has still bounced back in the last month or so. So why is the market optimistic about IT stocks?
See, IT stocks, if you're talking about Tech Mahindra, yes, clearly it's a miss on estimates. So I think we'll see a correction as far as Tech Mahindra is concerned. But IT stocks overall, people may be looking at it, basically because of the underperformance which we have seen in the last 9 to 12 months. And there's an expectation that possibly over the next 1 or 2 quarters, things should start looking up for the tech sector as such, because of the sort of order flows. So possibly, the next 1 or 2 quarters could be a good buying opportunity in technology. And I think some of the early birds have already gotten, because of which we have seen some amount of move in this sector.
Okay, let's quickly run us through the numbers, Suyash. How have the numbers come in and how are they looking for Tech Mahindra?
So Tech Mahindra declared its numbers just recently. 38% decline in consolidated net profit for the company. The profit figure stood at 692.5 crore against 1,117 crore in the previous quarter. So revenue for the company is down 4.1% on a quarter-on-quarter basis. It came in at 13,159 crore versus 13,718 crore. EBIT margin, EBIT stood at 8,909 891.4 crore from 1,530 crore in the previous quarter. Margin declined 440 basis points to 6.8% from 11.2% in the previous quarter.
Amrish, these are some very staggering, difficult numbers to digest coming from Tech Mahindra's stable. How do you explain these numbers?
No, clearly there has been a pressure as far as margins are concerned because the costs have gone up. Order flows haven't been too great, and even the order flows which have been there, the margins are lower. So I think this will continue at least for a quarter or two more. It's only post that I think one should really take a view. But like I said, some of the early birds have started getting into some of the tech stocks, especially stocks like TCS, because of which we have seen the index holding on.
All right, and another stock story that we're tracking is that of BPCL, whose numbers have also just come out. Could you quickly run us through how numbers are stacking up, Amrish?
I think BPCL numbers have been, quite good. If you look at both the EBITDA as well as, the gross margins and the net margins, clearly it's a beat on the estimates. Because Y on Y, clearly it's extremely good sort of numbers. Like for example, EBITDA numbers, the margins is about 12.33%. This was about 8.36% just a quarter back. Whereas the estimates were closer to about 11.5–12%.
All right. What are the big other earnings that we're tracking, Suyash? Before I let you go, what are the big other companies that you are tracking this afternoon?
So, Shweta, Axis Bank results are due. They generally come after the market hours, so we can expect them any time now. You know, that's
Dr. Reddy is awaited.
Dr. Reddy's results actually just came out, and if you'd give me a moment, I'll just run you through the numbers.
Absolutely. Amrish, do you have the numbers for us as far as Dr. Reddy's is concerned?
No, Dr. Reddy's, I don't have the numbers.
Don't have the numbers.
Profit jumped 34.7% to 1,402 crore from 1,041 crore in the year ago period. Revenue jumped 4% from to 6,738 crore. EBITDA jumped 28% to 2,137 crore. Now the margin expanded by 590 basis points from 25.8% to 31.7%.
Okay, the margins are looking good. I'm looking at the expectations here and reporting an 18.2% year-on-year growth in consolidated net profit for the quarter ending June is way higher than what many polls had estimated. Consolidated revenue also up. Things looking good for Dr. Reddy's, Amrish.
Yeah, absolutely. I think these numbers are clearly a beat on the expectation. And if you're talking about the pharma pack overall, there's a very clear turnaround. After 18–24 months of underperformance. So I think this is the time to still get into this space, the pharma space, and among them, clearly the leaders. You have Dr. Reddy's, Sun Pharma, even Cipla with the numbers which have come out. I think all these could be bought.
Okay, and so what's your position like on pharma stocks?
Pharma stocks, I would say that one should have at least a weightage of about 15 to 18% of the portfolio in pharma. Because if you're talking about the next year and a half, we should again see some sort of outperformance from this sector.
All right, Amrish, thanks very much for joining us with your inputs on that story. We will, of course, keep bringing you all the stock-specific updates with numbers as we track quarterly earning results through this week and the coming week ahead. But moving on for now. Byju's continue to be in focus a month after firm's investor Prosus resigned from Byju's board. Prosus has now said that Byju's regularly disregarded advice and recommendations related to strategic, operational, legal and corporate governance matters when its member was in the board. Also, another investor, Peak XV, which is formerly called Sequoia Capital, said that it resigned from the board due to Byju's inability to influence the management. So the board member from Sequoia could not influence the management of the edtech firm to improve their compliance and governance norms, and hence why they resigned. Now those are some very serious allegations that Byju will have to counter. These are specifically difficult to tide over for Byju Ravindran. Amid all of this comes the news that Byju Ravindran in fact broke down in April when a probe agency raided its Bengaluru office. linking the startup with possible foreign exchange violations. A lot of issues that Baiju will have to recuperate over. But more importantly, financials aside, it is an issue of image. Baiju seem to have an image problem, which is only worsening from here on. Krishna Kumar joining us in the studio. Krishna, it is an image problem for Baiju's that Baiju Ravindran will have to tide over. Lots of stories coming on and a slew of stories. Let's go after them one by one. Number one, to begin with, former board members who are investors currently in Baiju saying that Baiju Ravindran disregarded us.
Right, and repeatedly so at that.
Repeatedly so,
So
absolutely.
in a board of around 6 people, which includes 3 of Baiju Ravindran's family, including himself, which is Baiju Ravindran, Riju Ravindran, his brother, and Baiju Ravindran's wife, Divya Gokulnath, you have 3 others representatives on that board, and that is one representative from Peak XV Partners, formerly known as Sequoia Capital, and then you have a representative from Process, which is the Netherlands-based investor in Baiju's, and then you have a representative from Chang Zuckerberg Initiative, which is Zuckerberg's wife's initiative. So these 3 board members, all 3 of them resigned in the month of June. And when they had resigned, Baiju's had even tried to sort of paper over it by saying that actually their shareholding went below the critical limit, the threshold limit for a board seat, and that's the reason why they're not part of the board and all of that. But now, a month down the line, for the first time ever, you have Process and all Process officially going on record to say the fact that we ourselves wanted to pull our representative back because our representative made it clear that regularly that their suggestions for compliance as well as governance of Baiju's, how the company is run, the suggestions given by Process's representative on the board was regularly disregarded. That's the word that they use. And also now, as that news came out, there was also news coming out that the same was the case with Peak XV Partners as well.
Absolutely.
So it's very clear that this tells you about the past of Baiju's, even as it tries to build a new present and future, where it has its board advisory council that will consist of Rajneesh Kumar, former SBI chief, and you also have Mohandas Pai. We thought that when that news came out, that looked like a serious move when they said that this board advisory committee that advises Baiju Ravindran, the chief of Baiju's, will be consisting of independent directors on the board, and these names, these big names, gave a lot of credibility.
Absolutely.
But what has been happening at Baiju so far, when that story comes out, why do so many credible people on the board resign? And bear in mind, you're talking about other pieces of news, their auditor resigns, Deloitte as well. How come so many people resigned? And Baiju's kept saying that there was technicality that really led to all of these things. So.
And it's like odds are stacking up against Baiju's one after the other. You have one story and it's barely out there. The next story pops up. So you have Sequoia Capital, currently Peak XV, which also says, and I quote, that the reporting structure at Baiju's, the governance structure did not sufficiently evolve for a company of that scale. Essentially saying that although the company became big, it was functioning in a manner like a small company does, perhaps not able to manage or micromanaging a very big company of this nature. And so these 2 former board members, companies which are currently invested in Baiju's, coming out to say that we were not heard, hence our board member resigned, is a big bummer. And as I said, an image problem. Another image problem that Baiju Ravindran will have to deal up with, and we don't know if it's true or not, but we are given to understand on the day when Baiju's was raided, the company's Bengaluru office was raided, Baiju Ravindran, who was not in India at that point in time, trying to get more investors on board, actually was found to be crying on a call. All in all, breaking down with what was happening for the company against the company.
Right, those are details that are coming out, Shweta,
in the media.
And again, that really paints a picture of how things have been. In a sense, it sort of reiterates what could have been. At the end of the day, Baiju Ravindran is human. It's when a company goes through it, especially after the highs that Baiju's went through, that's what it really makes the story more stark. You're talking about it as a beacon of hope for many things at the time of darkness, during the time of pandemic, when Baiju's emerged as this huge beacon of hope for providing education to children, for providing employment to so many people, and also really taking the India startup story to another level. The first ever, the most valuable company, the most valuable startup ever in India, beating the likes of Flipkart. Other Indian companies have been built over there, and multiple times. It's a decacorn plus $13 billion. At some stage of valuation. So it clearly, when you fall from those highs, I'm sure taking those highs is going to be difficult for Baiju Ravindran, for anybody in his place. But what will at this stage is important for Baiju is that there has been a past, and that past has shown itself in the way the reality has manifested itself. There were clearly governance issues. Peak Express says it was run like a real small company, like a mom and pop shop, whereas it became this huge decacorn mammoth company. You have process saying that you have these people on the board to give you the suggestions, and you regularly disregard these suggestions, and you run it like your own family company. Really adding on to what Peak Express is saying. There are 3 people of the family on the board. There are 3 other outsiders. The 3 outsiders are ignored, and the 3 family members remain on the board. That really tells you what was going on at Baiju's. And now that they have to take accountability, who else is accountable? There's 3 people on the board. All of them are from Baiju Ravindran's family. They really have to take accountability, and they have put in place this board advisory committee. I would be really interesting to see how soon this board advisory committee to the CEO and the chief of Baiju's gets finalized, how well it operates. Can it now be a completely new beginning for the way the board advises? Because so far it seems like the board is like, for the sake, it's like a paper tiger. The board just says what it wants to, and Baiju Ravindran and family do what they want to. Can that change?
Apparently, it's already changing. Come to think of it, because just yesterday we were discussing news around the financials of Baiju's, which continue to remain bleak at this point in time, but the term loan B, amounting to $1.2 billion, was being renegotiated. The terms were being renegotiated, and Rajneesh Kumar is said to be playing a crucial role. He comes with ample banking experience and is said to be playing a crucial role. So as far as financials is concerned, perhaps Baiju's is turning around, and this is the opportunity, Krishna, to turn around.
Absolutely. And add to that the fact that they have started shutting down some offices and extra office space. They're being more financially more prudent. So it is certain couple of good decisions have come out ever since we've heard about that board advisory committee consisting of Mohandas Pai and Rajneesh Kumar. And of course, Rajneesh Kumar being involved in the negotiations with the existing creditors is also good news. If that entire $1.2 billion loan is where this entire thing started erupting. So if they can find a fix for that, that really paves a good way forward for them to fix other problems that are affecting them. The problem is, Shweta, even last week there were images of a Baiju's employee demanding an explanation.
I was about to come to that.
From her
what
manager.
What a damning video.
And that video also sort of made me think all over again as to what is going on. You just had the entire episode of employees' Provident Fund not being credited, the employer's contribution towards their employees for their Provident Fund not being credited, and finally them coming out eventually claiming, saying, no, now we have put in all that money, now we're safe. Okay, now we're thinking, okay, at least for the employees still left at Baiju's, after all the sets of firings and job cuts, life will sort of start resuming normalcy. But it didn't look like that in that video when they demanded when that girl, a young employee. And the worst part is, Shweta, what my heart went out was that all of them are young, first-time employees, first jobs, probably campus placements. These people who don't have prior experience of dealing with the big bad world of companies and corporates, they are the ones who get affected the most. One is that my heart goes out to all those working for Baiju's today. As of today, I'm really hoping that their life gets sorted going forward. And of course, my heart goes out to all the customers of Baiju's, all the mummies and daddies and their parents and the grandparents. Putting their hard-earned money to educate their children. Many thought that this is the one short way of ensuring that the children get a good education and ensure that they do well for themselves going forward. So my heart goes out to all of them. Even as we discuss all the inside wranglings of the management and the governance of Baiju's, I really hope that there is some finality given both for the customers of Baiju's and the employees of Baiju's.
All right. We are, of course, hoping that it is going to be normal again. Normalcy comes back to Baiju's for its employees, for its customers at large, and, of course, for the future of Indian startup. Baiju's being one of the most valued Indian startups as of today. Normalcy, hopefully, will come back very soon. We will come back to that story. But shifting focus now, the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India is pitching for regulations on artificial intelligence. AI, TRAI has recommended that setting up an independent statutory artificial intelligence and data authority body is important to regulate and advise all AI related sectors. Now this comes at a time, remember, when AI is impacting just everything, telecom to banking, financial services, healthcare, transportation, you name it. Therefore, a need for a more holistic regulatory approach.